Hello and welcome.
Hello.
A little bit chaotic, but we've had to kind of wing it as we do on Orta Know Better because Gilly's not finished the proper intro video. So we'd have been sat there like gimps in background while it played. We can't have that because we're
Nothing new there, so
gimpy enough as it is most of this podcast. Anyway, so it's myself, Jay, hosting tonight. So it's going to be chaos as usual. Pod regular Karl, and we've got a new guy on the pod here, Dylan.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Standing in for Luke. How are you doing, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Looks forward to it.
Good stuff. You might change your opinion.
Good
by
stuff,
the end,
man.
We'll
You might not.
how are you doing, Karl?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, still kind of on a high from Monday, and just basically loving the tears, man. Soaking them, drinking them all in.
Absolutely, it's been glorious, hasn't it? Dylan, I think you met Luke through the Fanalysis app, was it?
Yeah, I met him through there. Interacted with him a few times on Twitter, but that's where spoke to him a lot more, and I managed to get on tonight.
After you'd spoke to him like on Twitter, but not in person, were you like, did you turn up there wanting to give him a slap, and then you spoke to him and you want so bad?
Yeah, I mean, a few comments, so it went all right, but like you say, still getting to know everyone.
Fair enough. Karl, you mentioned
you can handle Luke, you can handle most things in life.
Have you got me on a delay, Karl? Because we're talking at the same time all the time here. He has, hasn't he?
Maybe.
That's very strange. Yeah. Well, I don't know how we fix that, so we're just going to have to manage. Right, okay. Well, I'll try dropping out and come straight back, and we'll see if that helps. So you can waffle for a sec and just get us into the Everton game, mate.
Okay, no worries. Usually, Dylan, the way it goes is everyone knows we've got two IT guys on the pod, Jay being one of them and Gilly being the other. And they generally are the ones that have the most issues with tech when it comes to the pod. So it's not unusual for this to happen. So, you know what I mean? Professional outfit here and all that. Dylan, we'll talk a little bit about the game, man. Were you at the game, or did you watch it on the box, or where were you for it?
Managed to catch it on the box. I was moving a few things across for uni, but I thoroughly enjoyed it personally. I wasn't too sure what to expect going into the first game of the season. However, after a season and a pre-season where, we've signed a few players, but I think we'd all agree and say we do still need some extra signings, especially in the offensive. I do think that I was highly impressed with the way things went. I think that's fair to say, against a team which, never been out the top flight since the Premier League was formed. I think we more than held our own in that game. And Everton, like I say, haven't had the best summer, but a manager like David Moyes, who had them playing good football towards the back end of last year and pushing for a top half finish after Sean Dyche, Shearer. I think Daniel Farke, first game, doing well so far, and hopefully we can sort of build some momentum now.
It's hard to feel sympathy for Everton, isn't it, as a club?
Yeah, they've had a few years down at the bottom, and just as they look like they start to climb the table, we're back, and then we bring them back down to reality again. So it's a nice feeling to do that to them.
It's great.
Yeah, they played quite a lot of football in pre-season. They played maybe 7 or 8 games, I think, in pre-season overall. So I can't say they'll blame their fitness, because if you play 7 or 8 friendly games, regardless of the standard, you're still going to get your fitness up. And I think, being honest with you, like the pair of you there, I thought the way we pressed them, they didn't know what to do. They were absolutely clueless as to how to contain us. And I think our wide players, as much as people are saying, we could do with reinforcements, I think they showed a good account of themselves against established Premier League players there for the most part. And I think I really enjoyed it from start to finish, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Like yourself, Dylan, it's one of those things we do need maybe one more in attack, But I think a priority should very much be a fullback that can play both left and right back. But I think everyone's going to have varied opinions on what else we need now at the moment. But for me personally, it's got to be a fullback that can play both sides. I think the attack is it's far from toothless. It's just making it click in the Premier League for me.
Yeah, it's going to take them time to get up to speed, I guess, for the players that did come up. But like you say, Karl, they gave a really great account of themselves. Like, we couldn't have asked for a better performance in the first game back for me. We could have done with some more clinical finishing up front, but like I thought they looked shell shocked, Dylan. Like we sort of just came at them from the start, and that, I don't know about you, but I didn't expect that. I were kind of I were going into the game there having a pint beforehand, chatting to lads, and I'm thinking we're probably going to be more sort of expecting teams to come at us, so we won't go at them. We'll sit back and wait, but we didn't at all, did we?
No, and I think that was the thing. I mean, I expected a lot more from Everton personally going into the game, and I thought they would have challenged us a lot more than they did. However, I think when you look at the way we played, I think we stopped them playing a lot as well, especially in the first half. We pressed them really well. I mean, for me, Piroe, I thought press him, especially first 50 minutes, let's say, I thought he were excellent in that press personally. And I really do think like he's impressed a lot since, compared to last season. That game, I personally had my doubts over him going into this season, but I felt like he more than led from the front, and I thought Tanaka was just phenomenal with stacking midfield.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all three of them were great, but Tanaka personally for me was just incredible at keeping up the tempo. And what I liked is we didn't just not play on the counter. We played a bit of football, a lot of passing, nice little intricate moves. And it was almost like watching a few years ago when Bielsa was there and there was the little passing triangles. And, it was refreshing to see, especially in the Daniel Farke system, not something we're used to in the last few years.
Yeah, it were a bit surreal to see that at times, Karl. You could see that they'd been really well drilled. Like they were doing things that you could see had come straight from the training pitch, and they were doing it well. And that's kind of takes me to, I was thinking to myself, like I were really pleased for Farke as well, because he's had so many people say, "Oh, he won't be able to do it in Premier League. He couldn't do it last time," and he can't adapt his tactics, and he's shown them all up so far. I mean, hey, there's still time for it to all go tits up, but I were pleased for him after that one game. For him to come up like that and have his team go out and perform like that.
Yeah, we know Farke's going to have them well drilled from the last two seasons that we've watched, and I think it's proved a lot of people, like I know it's only the first game, but I think it's, a lot of people have taken a step back from going Farke as a failure in the Premier League to, a carpenter is only as good as the tools that he has. And he's clearly got a far better selection of players. I don't want to call them tools. There are players he's clearly got a far better selection of players to be able to implement the style of play that he wants now in the Premier League. And it was something that he was horribly lacking when he came up with Norwich both times. And to judge a manager off getting, I know we've said it before, getting back to the tune of about 25 or 30 million over 2 seasons and expected to stay in the Premier League, it's an idiotic thought. And I think the way we're playing now at the moment, like you said, we've set up very well. The three in midfield, like I know Ampadu, it looks like he's out now until after the international break, but the three in midfield have been absolutely unreal in that Everton game. And I think Stack, I think he's a level above what we expected him to be fair, coming from Hoffenheim. I know he's a German international and he's played at the top, and his stats last season were, the top 4 in Europe, that kind of way. But I genuinely thought he was fantastic there on Monday night. I didn't. There's nothing you could fault him for. Nothing that you could see that was obvious where you could criticize him. And I'm kind of hoping it just carries on that way now, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I were really, really impressed with Stack and Goodmanson. And I have been in pre-season as well, and they've just carried on how they've started. And I think they both look like phenomenal players, and they're going to be really, really important for us this season. Do you think that we're going to end up relying a lot on Stack, Dylan?
Yeah, it's hard because obviously that midfield three, I was going into the game, I was a bit questionable to how it would all come together and how well they would play together. But like I say, I thought they all seemed to fit into the roles seamlessly.
Yeah.
But he just looks a level above anything we've got in that midfield. And he looks, if you look at the rest of the players we've got, he could easily go and play for one of the top clubs if he continues at the trajectory he's going, if he continues putting in these performances. And I do think it could be a thing where we are relying on him, and if he gets injured, it could be costly for us. So I'm hoping that Longstaff might play this weekend. Who knows? But I'm hoping that him, Tanaka, and Stack can all just sort of rotate amongst themselves, and we're not solely relying on one body in that midfield.
Absolutely.
But the way it's going so far, I mean, like I say, the whole team I thought were faultless pretty much. I thought, the wingers didn't really have the best of luck, but they were coming up against some big centre backs and defenders in that Everton team. So, but the midfield for me, like I say, dominated it, and Stack was just impressive all pre-season, and I thought he impressed on Monday night as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really weird. It's like when you look at the midfielders that we've got, each of them kind of has a specific strength that we put them in there for. But I don't know about you, Karl. It feels to me like Stack's kind of one that can do a bit of all of it. He's like all of them combined. He's not just in there to do one thing. He can do a bit of everything.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's very versatile in his positional sense of awareness as well. And I think at the end of the day, we've looked at players who can play in multiple positions in that midfield. You could easily drop Tanaka back in and do the holding role that Ampadu was doing, because we saw it last year when Ampadu was out for a while. He came in, he set in, let Gruev kind of go ahead and maybe clear up some stuff in front of him, and he would build from the back. And I think Tanaka's ability to read the game is fantastic in a defensive mode, where if he's closing the ball down, whether it be in their final third or whether it be in our final third or whatever the case may be, his intelligence is off the scale when it comes to it. When you look at how he closes players down, it's like he reads which way they're going to turn before they do it, and he just snatches the ball back. And it's a very difficult kind of player to play against. And you could say the same about the other two that are in there with them as well. But then you've got Longstaff, who can come in, and we know Longstaff has that Premier League experience, and he can do exactly the same job, can potentially move between the 6, the 4, and the 8. So we've got a very versatile midfield in that they're all good at what they do in their favourite positions, but they're very capable of doing someone else's job in that midfield as well. And that's reassuring that we have that versatility and that kind of knowledge in players who can do a job regardless of where they're put in that midfield.
Yeah, definitely. I think we stood in good stead as far as the midfield goes. It is just kind of a little bit further forward now that we're looking at strengthening for me. But it was nice that we didn't really notice VAR had returned until the penalty. I don't know about you, Dylan, but I was dreading checks every 5 minutes and weird stuff happening and delays left, right, and centre.
There's a few challenges in that game where, last season you might have seen VAR get involved a bit. Obviously there was Ampadu giving a bit to Dewsbury all at points, and obviously there was the Everton lads were constantly trying to nip and jab at our players. But it was good to see that the referee sort of appeared to let the game just flow a little bit. And I think it did help, especially us trying to play the counter-attack on them, that he did just sort of let the game flow. There wasn't really constant breaking up the play and things like that. He let the game go on and let it carry out and things like that. But I think with a penalty, it was just, it was getting nervous, obviously. Looking at the beginning of the season, a draw against Everton and going into it, you'd probably thought, not a bad result. But given the way the game went, coming away with a 0-0 draw I'd have been disappointed, given the way we played. So
yeah, I agree with that. Did you start to get nervous the longer it went on, though, that we were going to end up losing 1-0?
Yeah,
I know I did.
You see, it was like when that Alvarez was getting forward and like their winger and I think it was, ball just seemed to be stuck to his feet every time he went forward at points.
Yeah. They woke up a bit second half.
Yeah, and I thought that the longer it went on, we're quite a fit team under Farke. We saw last year we had a lot of goals coming in the last 10, 15 minutes and a lot in injury time. So, with that Farke system, you always know there's still going to be a chance and a chance later on in the game. And even after we scored, we still went for it and we still could have scored a second.
Yeah.
So I think that'll help us going forward, that, especially in the games where it's nitty-gritty 0-0 until the 80th minute. We're always going to be in with a chance to come away with a goal maybe. But I think
absolutely,
that sort of showed how we do need to improve in the offence a bit more with someone who's really clinical with them chances. Because there were a few chances where sort of just blundered them away, which against, like, say, at the weekend against Arsenal, we're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We need to...
We know how that goes.
Yeah, we just need to be able to take our chances when they come. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. So, Karl, can you hear me? Earth to Karl. For the audio,
yes, I can hear you. Yeah,
give me a thumbs up with silence.
I am sorry. I had myself on mute. How bad?
Good God, see this.
No, Mark, I'm still awake. I was just doing something, man.
It's Karl asleep.
Cool. I'm wide awake. Don't worry about it.
It's what he's like at work. That people come up and like shake him by the shoulder. Karl, are you all right? You made me forget what I'm going to say. No, that's it. Was it a penalty?
Yeah. I don't care what any Everton player says or any Everton fan says or whatever the crack is. It's not a stone wall, but it's definitely a penalty. Definitely a penalty. The way I look at it, the ball is struck far enough away from him, regardless of the deflection, for him to be able to shuffle across and not have to throw his body across and hit his arm. The other side of that is the shot's on target. Leave it for your keeper. If you get in front of that and you run the risk of it hitting your arm, it's a penalty. And that's simply how I view it. Because if it was going if it was going miles wide, grand, we'd probably just have only got a corner. But the fact that it was on target for me is where the ref and the lino and the VAR made their decision, I think.
Prince says, "Don't let Smarty's twin fool you." He put his arm behind his leg and he typed into the ball. Smarty's twin.
Ooh, Tarkovsky, is it?
I love that.
Man.
What about you, Dylan? What do you think about the decision?
Yeah, it's hard because I've seen so many people saying different things, but personally, at the time, I thought it was a penalty, and after watching it back, I thought it was a penalty. Like you say, it wasn't a stone wall where you think blatant, but you can see why the referee's giving it, I think. I was watching some earlier, and I think it was Chris Boyd was saying, it's hitting his arm and it's going towards goal. You got to let your keeper deal with it when it's like that, like you were saying. And, if it was in the other box and the striker did the same motion to put the ball into the back of the net, it'd be a handball. You won't be able to do that. So I think you've got to say that it's a handball and it's a penalty for me. I don't think there's any way you can argue against that.
Nah, me neither. Like Bryn said in the comment, the fact that he moved his body to a place that then put his arm in front of the ball, whether it's tucked or not, if he'd not dived in, his arm doesn't touch it. So, I can see the logic.
See, the way I look at it, right, is if he does that in the middle of the pitch to stop a ball going through, it's a free kick. So what is the difference if he does it inside the box and outside the box? If it's a free kick, it's a penalty. The logic is there.
Absolutely.
If the ref is going to give it when he's playing the ball through for a potential one-on-one, then it's a
Yeah.
free kick. If it happens in the box,
Absolutely.
it's a penalty. It's literally that black and white, like, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll leave that behind now, the old Everton game, I think, because we've waffled for longer than I intended us to. But glad we're all on the same page. We all know it's a penalty.
We usually do, though, Jay. That's the thing, isn't it?
All the noise. Fuck all the noise. We don't do the predictions anymore because Gilly made that into some kind of automated thing that nobody actually knows how to access and enter a prediction on. So I'll just fire through these starred comments and then we'll just have a little chat about Ampadu's injury and stuff and just see what we think about that. Here we go. Scooby D2, ground control to Jeff Kamara. Count your 7.2s and put the air fryer on. Not a clue.
I just thought it was funny, so I said I'd put it
in. This is the problem when you're starring the comments, Karl.
It was
Bryn
poetry,
Johnson,
man. It was
friend of the
poetry.
Says Sky just linked us with Hill from Bournemouth, who's a CB who can play right back. I saw that earlier. I'm not really convinced by that because that means for me that Byram will be the left back cover pretty much exclusively.
Yeah, I think if you look at the starred messages further down, there's another thing there.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'm unhappy about this one. Mark Wright says, don't hate me, lads, but if the lad Hill comes in that covers right back, then we have Harrison who can cover left back. Absolutely not. Anybody want Harrison at left back?
Definitely not. Not for me.
No, we're not having that one, Mark. Sorry, we're not doing that. Daryl Harris says, "Jay's a Chris Hemsworth look about you, pal. I'll fetch my hammer next time, mate. Some of that. Better than looking homeless, anyway." Bryn Johnson says, "Never feel sympathy for Scousers," and I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ampadu's apparently got an MCL injury, I think it was, and he's out till after the international break or something.
Worrying.
Did you see that, Karl? What's that, sorry?
I did see that, yeah.
You still can't hear me when
it
I
is.
talk, Karl, but Dylan can. So
I can hear. I can hear you when you talk.
I mean,
you're just a little. Yeah, it's a little bit delayed, so there's like a pause, and you know.
I'm worried it's just you that's delayed. Human being.
No. One person. It is quite worrying. Like he was very, very much dominating his area of the pitch on Monday night. But like I've said previously, we have brought players in who can rotate in that midfield position and do the same job that he does. And we're forgetting as well that we do have Gruev as well. So it's not a total loss. I thought Gruev was quite good when he came on for the 20-25 minutes, you know.
Yeah, he was. Held his own.
Yeah. So I like it. We're going to get on to Arsenal later, but regardless of whether we have Ampadu or not in that midfield, it's going to be very, very tough on Saturday. So I think we do have the players that can cope with it. We just have to wait and see. But I am devastated for Ampadu mostly because he's been absolutely brilliant the last season. And
2 seasons in a row,
when he's gone out, he's come back. Yeah.
Injured right at the start.
It. Yeah. But if he hadn't got injured right at the start of one season, we wouldn't have found how good Tanaka was. So
that's
swings and roundabouts there, you know.
Well, that's it. When one door closes, another one opens and all that.
Sliding doors moments.
Who do you think is going to replace him, Dylan? Do you think it'll be Longstaff or do you think it's more likely to be Tanaka?
I think based on who came on Monday, I think it'll be Gruev.
Do you think it'll be Gruev?
I think that's who Farke will go for. But I do think, with it being Arsenal, I would like to see Longstaff in there. A bit of Premier League experience at this level, especially against a side like Arsenal playing away at the Emirates. I do think he will be very beneficial to us in that midfield.
He's played them numerous times.
That's exactly. He knows what they're about and he knows what this level's about as well. So I do think it'd be very beneficial to have him in there. I feel like Farke will go with Gruev. But I'd like to see Longstaff get the start, to be honest, personally, for me. I'd like to see him start. But like you say, with it being Arsenal, it's whether you go more on the attack and the offensive and risk the defence, or you just stay as solid as you possibly can and try and catch him on the counter-attack. And I think that's what Farke will try and do, because I don't see him risking us, like you say, do similar like we did on Monday. Defence was solid, I thought. So I think if we go as we started that game, I think, hopefully we can nick an early goal, then the game opens up a bit. But
I mean, we'll get into that properly later on, but I think you've got a good sort of point there with sort of Longstaff for a game like that. But if he picks Gruev, would Longstaff have a right to be annoyed, Karl, after being brought in if he gets overlooked there?
I don't know. I can't say he will have, because Gruev's been playing in the system now for 2 years, and he knows what's expected of playing in different areas of the pitch for Leeds in the midfield. Like, regardless of how intelligent a footballer is, they're always going to take time to get up to speed when it comes to new systems, new players around them, understanding where the runs are going to be, stuff like that. And obviously that can be coached in training. But I think, personally, it could well be Longstaff, strictly for his experience in the Premier League and playing in games like this, to have someone with that kind of head on them in a game like this without having your captain, your first choice captain. Obviously, we still have, vice captains or whatever. But I think a player like him in a game like this, you do want his Premier League know-how and his ability to snuff out trouble as well. Because he's played against, we need to remember, he's played against these, quite a few of this Arsenal team already, which obviously we get into. But I think he'd be the more suited one. And depending on how the game's going, then bring Gruev in at maybe the same point in the game at the 25, 30-minute mark, just to maybe kind of solidify midfield a little bit. But I personally think it'll be Longstaff that'll go in strictly for his Premier League experience and these types of games,
Who do you think will take over as captain while Ampadu's out, Dylan?
I think it'll be Strike.
You reckon?
He got the armband when he went off.
Seems a pretty logical choice.
Yeah, I think he got the armband when he went off on Monday, and I don't see them bringing Piroe into the side. I don't think there's any need to change the defence. I think he'll stick with it, to be honest. I think he'll stick with the same back four. We know what Farke's like. He won't rush anybody into the side. He won't.
That's true.
If the side's playing well and everyone's having a good game, he likes to stick with his team as best as he can. He doesn't like to chop and change. So I think until Strike or Rodon gives him a reason to drop him for Piroe, then I think it'll be the same pairing, to be honest, and rightly so. I thought Strike deserves it, to be fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Do you have any thoughts on this guy at Bournemouth, Karl? Hill coming in?
By all accounts, from what I've seen online,
it's gone out of my head.
It is Hill,
No, I've just completely forgot his first name.
Don't worry about it. He's not that important yet. We don't own him. From what I've seen online, the Bournemouth fans are a little annoyed that he could potentially be leaving. Like, they seem to rate him quite. Yeah, they seem to rate him. And look, sure, if he comes in, good and well, he's a centre back, right back type player. Personally, I prefer someone who could play at both left back and right back, because I think at centre back we're fairly okay. Like, we've got Piroe to come in, we've got Strike and Rodon, who are a good partnership as well, and you've also got Bornau as well, who's known for CDM centre back roles.
I've forgotten about him.
And personally, like we've heard of Stack playing at centre back as well. So I don't think having another centre back on top of that is probably going to add any cohesion, bar the fact that he'll just play right back. Now, the lad from Leicester, who was that? Was that James Justin?
James Justin.
I probably would have
remember his
preferred
name.
him as backup. At least I can pronounce his name. I probably I probably would have preferred him to come in because he is a versatile right or left back rather than a centre back and a right back. So that kind of puts a lot of pressure on Byron because he's the only recognised player that we know that will play slot in at left back if Goodmanson is out. So there is that kind of a worry there. But like Dylan was saying there, it's the back four is going to stick until Farke feels it's time for a change. And they've done nothing wrong to merit anyone being dropped. So it's one of
you're
those.
right. Like Dylan was saying before, he doesn't tend to drop players if they've had a good game, does he? So I think you're spot on there. But I agree with you, Karl. I would like someone that is comfortable at either side and to be, without any disrespect to Byram, you can see he's a right back playing left back when he plays at left back. He's not mega comfortable there. He does his best and he does a decent job, but he's not a left back. I'd like somebody that is convincing as a left back or a right back, but unless we go for Justin now, I don't see that there's any other real options that have been mentioned anywhere, really.
Well, the problem with Byron playing at left back is that as soon as we get a break forward and it comes down his wing, 8 times out of 10, he's going to turn back onto his right foot and the momentum has gone out of the attack. And that's no slight on him, like you said, Jay. He's a right back playing left back, and you can tell. But that's one of the only kind of downfalls with having Byram at left back is that with the momentum of a counter attack, he's probably going to pull it back and come onto his right just so he can play the correct ball, that takes it out of it. Usually you get players that have run too far ahead of you then, and it's a bit frustrating to watch, but
it can kill your momentum of your attack, can't it? Because everyone's like, shit, they have to check the runs.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And sometimes that's a lot of the time that's to your detriment. Sometimes it can be a good thing because it means a striker stays on side then, because he's aware he's going to do that. But you can't do it all the time. There needs to be instinct to just swing your left foot at it. And
absolutely,
if he does it 2 times out of 10, you're kind of lucky,
Yeah, absolutely. We have had a new signing arrive, Noah Okafor or Okafor. I'm not entirely sure which version of that is correct. But
I'm not entirely sure. Okafor.
What the hell are you talking about, Karl? He looks like a fairly exciting young lad. Played against us in Dublin, didn't he?
Yeah.
Got a little. There we go. There he is. As a kid, I dreamed of playing in the Premier League. That's why, for me, it was quite an easy decision. See, he don't want to go to sodding Marseille and play shit football, does he? Are you excited about this guy, Dylan? Do you know anything about him? Because I know very little. I'll be very, very honest on that.
I have. I'm excited personally. I mean, I know we wanted him when he was still a Salzburg lad a few years ago before he went to Milan, and like you say, didn't work out. I don't know, but obviously he's gone to Milan and he's had a few injuries to my knowledge. But when you had a look, I think he's only missed maybe like 20 to 30 games due to injury in the last 2 seasons, and he spent last season on loan at Napoli as well.
Yeah.
So he was part of the Napoli team that won the league. So a few Milan fans saying when they needed a goal, a few winners, he normally steps up and he's managed to score a few. So on paper, looks like he'll probably be our first choice winger when he's fit. And he's got big shoes to fill. But if he comes in and does well, he'll be looking at like Rafinha coming to Leeds a few years ago and trying to emulate that type of pathway. And that's what he'll be looking to try and do. And I do think if he can stay fit, he could easily be probably the difference between us staying up and going down potentially, if he can make a name for himself in our team and in the Premier League this year.
Well, he's going to get a platform because we're on TV all the bloody time. So that's going to be good for him. Are you excited to see him, Karl? Are you looking forward to seeing him on the pitch in the team, or are you not that fussed? Are you underwhelmed?
No, I'm not underwhelmed by it at all. Like, I kind of think it just reiterates the point that we need another out and out number 9, perhaps. And that's no slight on the 3 that we have already. I did mention that the worry about Calvert-Lewin and his injuries at the moment is there's no doubt in his ability. His heading ability is fantastic. We've been on the end of it a couple of times where we've gone. But he said in his interview today that out and out winger, he loves it, likes playing in kind of a 9-10 role where he can play off a main striker or stuff like that. So perhaps if Calvert-Lewin comes back and gets in the team, there could be a big man, little man kind of scenario going on there, depending on who we're playing. If it's a team that we don't want to have too many progressive passes through midfield, we could play a 3-5-2 and have a kind of a false, 10 in behind and play it as a 2-man, a front 2. So he said he prefers that, prefers the wing, but he's open to playing like that as well. So I think it's a positive move. It adds dimensions to how we can attack. I don't think we need any more wingers. But I'd be greedy enough now in saying that potentially striker coming in that could bag us about 20 goals. It wouldn't go straight,
Yeah, I put Southstand 83 in timeout because it seemed like he was being a bit of a knob. Not sure why. He sounds like an exciting player. He's I was looking up his stats a little bit earlier. I think it said something like he'd scored 7 in about 39 or something for Milan, which is not a bad return for a young player who's quite early in his career and getting established. Shows that he's got an eye for goal and he can score at a high level, and that's something that we definitely need this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play, but I think it was a square ball that I watched a little bit earlier. They mentioned that he played like a second striker mostly when Milan used him. I don't know how accurate that is because other people said he's a winger, and so we'll see. But it does sound like he's going to be a really good option around the front for us. And with players like him, and then we've got squad people like Nemecha, even though he might end up starting the way he played the other night. But we're building a good squad here. It's just who's he going to cut out when it comes down to it? Because if anybody else comes in, we must be close to the 25-man limit now. But you only register over 21s, don't you?
I think so.
Well, that's why he's paid the big bucks, isn't it?
I can't remember.
Make those decisions.
To be honest, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's
21s
or 23s.
With him coming in though now, where does that leave Ramazani? I've seen someone mention it. I think he probably leaves at least on a loan deal for the season. Rangers potentially was somewhere which was bandied about earlier on in the window. I think he didn't come on the other day, but I don't think the game state was really for a player like Ramazani who were trying to be more solidified. Whereas if we was 1-0 down, then you maybe do bring him on in that state. But you look at, he wasn't exactly high in the pecking order last season, and we were signing some more players on top of that. I think you can probably see him going out on loan, which is a shame because I do think he probably would have something to offer this season for us. But
would you not rather keep him than Harrison?
I would rather keep Ramazani than Harrison personally. Yeah,
I would rather keep Ram.
A lot more exciting.
It's just far.
I think Ramazani. Yeah, I think Ramazani has the unpredictability of how he runs at players, whereas the Premier League has seen what Jack Harrison can do for the last 5 years. They've worked it out, and look, I'm not.
And now nobody wants him.
The guy stink. Well, I'm not giving the guy stink, but he only got 1 assist last season for Everton. Whereas I know it's a different level, but Ramazani had 4 or 5 goals and maybe 2 or 3 assists last season, something in and around that.
And he didn't even play
I personally like, and it's not because of the whole hate thing or anything, but I'd personally let Harrison go out and loan somewhere, maybe to Rangers, and keep Ramazani because of his unpredictability and his sheer energy when he comes on, like he's got a lot of it, like, you know what I mean? And he's not afraid to take players on. He's got attitude on him when he's there as well.
Yeah.
He wants to be on the end of something, or he wants to create something. And if that gives him main man syndrome and it brings out the best in him and potentially gets us more points on the board than, you know, Harrison, then I'd take that all day long. I'd be happy enough with that. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I would, like I say, I agree. I would prefer Ramazani over Harrison every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. But what I would say is, as well, Harrison's that natural left footer, which probably Farke likes, having someone who can go on the left-hand side and, like you were saying, whip a ball in on his left foot without having to think about cutting inside back onto his right. And it just gives another option when going down the left-hand side. Obviously, Gudmundsson now, like, you know, you expect him to be bombing up and down, but to have your winger be able to just do that, and it's a different option when otherwise we've got a load of wingers who are all right-footed, and it's kind of a bit more predictable on what they are going to do when playing on that left wing.
That's a good point, the natural left foot thing. But I've got to worry that Farke values Harrison's work rate over Ramazani's skill. Honestly, I've got to worry that that is the case, and that he will stay, Ramazani will go, and we'll all be very annoyed. And I think
that is the worry, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see the logic in that from a manager's point of view, but it's not the way I want it. But hey, we're not in charge of all that, are we? So, you know.
No. But
anyway,
like Bryn is in the comments here. Just one quick one. Bryn is in the comments here. Harrison, Piroe, Schmidt. First and third, I would say yes. What's his hatred for Piroe? Like, Piroe is
lazy and stoned.
It's not happening. Well, look, he was the top of the bleep test in preseason. He looks like he's a lot slimmer. He's he actually looks like he's chasing balls down now, as opposed to kind of strolling around the front waiting for it to drop for him. And like I said, I think his.
Do you know why he passed?
I think his game is suited. Why?
It's because his missus is pregnant, isn't she? So he's now like running around doing everything, isn't he? At home, he'll be fit as a fiddle, up and downstairs.
Oh, there's that.
In a hot water bottle, you know, doing cooking.
His testosterone is probably through the roof as well. Like, so
it will be, yeah.
Like, she's pregnant. Yeah,
that's it.
So
man knows how to score.
Yeah, I agree with Daryl Harris there in the comments as well. I think Piroe's looking at double figures. I'm
100%.
10 to 15 goals easily.
I think so. Calvert Lewin's got some competition this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as easy for him.
I could see both of them getting sort of 10.
It'd be a great return for both of them. If we can get both of them scoring 10 to 15 each, I think
covered then
probably enough to keep us up. I think so.
Yeah,
with the odd few.
And you know that your wingers and centre mids are going to be able to. Wingers and centre mids are going to be able to get maybe 4 or 5 goals as well for you. And we saw it last year.
So.
The goals were spread across the team rather than relying on Somerville, Rutter, the usual suspects of the season before. And I think we'll see a lot more of that this season as well, because of the amount of players that we have that can be creative and can finish. And, we've seen Stack, he's got a serious boot on him as well. Like, so should be all right.
Yeah, that's it. Right, I'm going to take us on to the bit that most people love on the show compared to listening to us.
Hey, has got a shit tick this week, my little spat of fact.
So, Luke would have probably sorted these if he was on as he was supposed to be. So I'm just going to bring up the Twitter feed for it and just go through a couple, because there's only a couple anyway that I can see. He's got all the logins to the bloody account, so we'll do it this way. We'll do it anyway.
So what are we doing here?
Shit take of the week.
No, I know, yeah, but
I'm just going to read through.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So we got this guy, the infamous, calls himself Leeds No Infidel. Ramazani should put in his transfer request tomorrow. And then someone says, yes, he should. Then we can focus on supporting the manager who got us 100 points last season rather than going on and on about a player who doesn't try his hardest in training. Oh, player's a team player. And he says, yes, because you know, don't you? Fucking dickhead. So, yeah, he's just like telling Ramazan to get out because he will feature in the Everton game, basically, which is slightly crackers. I'd ask you to do a poll, Karl, but I know you'll struggle to do that on YouTube. So we'll leave that today.
My technical abilities are my flaw, Dylan. That's the crack.
He's hard working. He just doesn't know how to do anything.
My knowledge is fine. My technical ability with IT is shit.
We've got another one here that kind of makes it a double shit take, which could be a first on here. Where someone's replied to him, needs to leave before Farke ruins his career. So there you go.
What, the manager that got us up?
Yeah, that manager.
That same manager. Wow.
Yeah, that's that same manager. Yeah. So we've got an Everton fan here, I believe, who's trying to call out one of our fans who said, a horrible win, and there's things I'm not hugely keen on, but a huge win above all else. We're off the mark, already breathing room with our next two fixtures. This Muppet here, he says, Ed19. A horrible win. Well played, Leeds. Glad these knobheads mean fuck all in the grand scheme. Not a clue. Not a clue. I'm gonna have a word with Luke about
from
this
a
one.
fan base that has absolutely, from a fan base that's absolutely skirted through staying up for the last 25 years. Every season, bar maybe 3 or 4, they've been. I can't remember. I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times they survived on the last day of the season. There's such a shower of gimps, man. They need to go.
Shower of gimps.
Christ, they're like dirty dishwater, man.
Is that like an Irish thing, a shower of gimps?
Get them out. Yeah, of course it is. That's what it'll be. It's funny. It's hardly years.
Okay, now it's normally really funny as shit take of the week, Dylan. You'll just have to take my word for that one because this week, so we're not bothering with a poll.
Yeah, well, at least you did it.
It's a shit take.
I was going to ask, was it happening, and then you surprised me. That's why I was like that before when the tune was on. But play the tune again.
Normally, I surprise you by asking you to do it with no notice.
Oh yeah, that is usually the nice surprise. All right, yeah.
Hey, has got a shit tick this week, my little sparrow fact.
It's just like old times. I'm back into the flow now. I'm embracing.
Is that it? Chaos. Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah, that's it, mate. I'm up and running. I'm halfway through my pint of vodka and coke. Good times. Right, so this weekend we've got our second Premier League game, and we are going to the capital to play Arsenal at the Shitterets, as I'm going to call it. Looks like a toilet seat from above. Anyway, they're going to be a different proposition, I think, to Everton, Dylan. And are you expecting anything out of this? Do you have any hope at all, or are you just resigned to damage limitation?
I mean, all I can say is I'm glad Eze's not going to be playing on the weekend. Because, I don't think that it'd have been tough for us. It's always going to be tough, I think. But, I think best we can hope for is, just defend as well as we possibly can and try and hit them on the counter-attack. I think. They didn't have the greatest opening game against Man United. So, they're there to be got at given the chance. Gyökeres didn't really have the best game either. So, he'll probably want to try and turn their fortunes around personally for his sake. And they'll want to, Arteta will be at them to make sure they're on form against Leeds because, they need to really turn it on if they want to win the league this year. So it's going to be a tough challenge. And like you say, already losing out Ampadu for that game is going to be massive, losing your captain. Yeah. But I think if we can defend resolutely like we did on Monday, if we can get to the second half and it be 0-0, and you can look at see if we can even try and get them on the counter attack and potentially try and nick something. But I think before the season, a win against Everton, you probably accept that you're probably going to lose to Arsenal, given that who they are. So anything more than a draw or more is a bonus for me.
Yeah, Karl, that's kind of my way of thinking too, that when they're looking at fixtures, they're going to be putting this down as probably a loss, but hopefully get something.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, like the Perry there, but I was trying to think of a way to describe what, like Dylan touched on it, and I was trying to think of a way to describe that game, the Arsenal Man U game. And it's like when when you're moving into a new house and you've got that bland, beige, horrible looking paint on every wall. And you're just like, oh my God, this is rotten. That's what the game felt like. It felt like moving into a new gaff with that horrible, bland crap on the wall. And I think if we can take...
You couldn't even get it off with screen.
Yeah. The bleeding dado rail around the middle of the wall. And it's like, would you just stop putting pieces of wood on the wall and just fucking paint it something nice? But yeah, that's how it felt. And I agree that, we're probably going to go into it and look for trying to get a draw out of it. But at the same time, I think the way we can force our game on teams, I think, look, we've as good a chance of getting anything out at the Emirates as anyone else this season so far. Played one game. They've looked shoddy enough. They've got a lot of players that, Arteta's kind of called out towards the end of last season a little bit. And you're kind of like, right, okay, he's skating on thin ice, regardless of the amount of money they've spent. Gyökeres didn't look, he looked every bit the championship player that we came up against on quite a few occasions. And I think there's a lot of players from the championship that could, it's white. Just white. Because I'm a Leeds fan. There's a lot of championship players that could probably be a success in Portugal in the top flight. It's not one of those kind of elite leagues. But in saying that, he'll probably start on Saturday, get a goal inside 2 minutes, and I'll be sitting here with egg on my face. So we'll see what the crack is.
Victor Orta's one that got away, isn't he? Gyökeres.
He is, yeah.
You make a good point with like how he called out the players a fair bit towards the end of last season. He were kind of losing his shit a bit, wasn't he, towards the end there, old Arteta. Everything were against.
Oh, yeah.
Players weren't doing the jobs, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. You don't know which way their dressing room's pulling, do you? And as you say, they're a little bit shoddily. Maybe it's a good time to get this game out of the way. Maybe it's as good as ever, Maybe this is one opportunity where they're not quite settled and all pulling in the same direction, that we might be able to go there and cause some Leeds United style disruption.
Yeah, well, teams are known to have dodgy starts and all that. Like, there's nothing to say that Arsenal can't have that same kind of dodgy start. Sorry, Dylan, I interrupted you there, man.
No, it's all right. No, I'm saying, like you were saying about just not really begun the season well. Similarly to Everton, they've not begun the season the way they thought they would have done, and that probably gave us a bit more of a chance to sort of get them while they were weak early on in the season, because that's going to be a completely different game. So if we can go at Arsenal while they're not really fully into their groove, still trying to get used to the new players that they've brought in, I think we could have a good chance at potentially nicking something away at the Emirates.
Yeah, definitely. Joe Bedford, she says, maybe they'll be too confident and take us for granted. I won't put it past them. Arteta is an arrogant little twat.
Yeah, I thought that about Everton as well. Like, they kind of didn't expect us to come out the way we came out. They thought we'd be probably a lot more conservative than we were. And that caught them on the hop. And once you're caught in the hop early doors, it's hard to recover. And it took half time for them to be able to come out and start playing a little bit. Like, so Joe could be right there. But Joe, it also depends on who the ref is. So if you could update us on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, you'll have
Joe's
to let us know,
ref watch.
I think the noise scared the Everton players as well, to a degree. I think they'll have been shocked with that, and we're going to have to use that a lot this season. We need to keep that level up, and if we're playing all right, I think we will. It's the loudest that I've heard in years, but at an away game, you don't have that. So we tend to be pretty loud anyway in our away ends, but we just gotta go there, sing your hearts out if you get to go down there, and hope for the best. But yeah, I don't particularly think that we're going to see any real changes to the team other than replacing Ampadu, Dylan. I think there's a chance that he could put Metcha in, but I don't think he does. I think he does the same thing and brings him on as a sub again. Starts with same team for 10 of the lads.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be the same team bar Ampadu, and like I say, I think he'll bring in, it'll be one of either Longstaff or Grove. I think, I don't know what you guys think, but he said that Okafor's in contention. But then again, he said the same for Calvert-Lewin for Everton, and he wasn't even in the squad. So you just don't know if that's him playing mind games going into the game. But,
got to use anything you can at this level.
Well, that's it. But if it's an option off the bench, last 15 minutes, if it's 0-0, it's a great option to have to bring on the bench or off the bench. Sorry, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you think. Whether would you start him if he was available, or would you keep it as is?
I think coming off the back of last season and the way he's played in pre-season, you have to stick with Piroe for a while. You've got to give him a little run of games for me. I know Bryn Johnson will disagree. But for me, you can't just take it away from a player when they've earned it, because what message does that send out to the other guys? You don't want to smash morale by just taking it from a guy when he's not really done anything wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
The way you got to look at it. Yeah, the way you got to look at it is look at the time that Farke gave Joseph last season.
Yeah.
In the Championship.
He wanted that to work. He gave him every opportunity.
Yeah. Now, granted, we don't have that time in the Premier League because it's a lot tougher. But like you both said, I think Piroe does deserve his shot after the season he had previously. And like, what did he get the first season? He got 17 goals in the first season, 19 in the second. And now you're looking at him, and we're all talking about double figures in the Premier League. If he only gets 10, I think that's a successful season for Piroe in the Premier League. And Definitely. If it's 10 goals that helps keep us up, people can't argue with that, regardless of their opinions of him. You can't argue with that. So I think it's up to Piroe to put people in their place and keep them quiet.
You are a good striker if you can score 10 goals in the Premier League. Yeah. You might not be elite, but you are a good striker to be able to do that. Yeah. And I think he's got that. It's just whether he can keep up with the pace of the play at times, maybe, I don't know. But he has looked very, very good so far. And at the end of last season as well, So it's his place to lose, really, Karl. It's, you can't just have the new guys walk in and take it at this point because he's not done anything wrong, as I say.
Yeah, well, the other side of the coin there is we're about to splash 40-odd million on a player that's had more injuries than Piroe and only scored 8 goals in the Premier League in Muniz. So
I was never fully convinced about that.
No, I genuinely, even though we were in the Championship last year, I watch a lot of football anyway, and I'm not convinced. I know he got that goal there on Saturday, but it's is that going to be the ball rolling for him? It hasn't been last year, and I thought it would have been a waste of 40-odd million, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I'm glad we.
This will be clipped up if he has a great season. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, but he's not going to have a better season than Piroe, I think, and that's just my opinion.
Oh, that's a big call.
Yeah. Well, if he can stay injury-free, he might, but he's not gonna.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. I won't go on for much longer because we've waffled for an hour. But do you think, Dylan, that we might see a different shape to the team against Arsenal, with them being a side that you'd perceive as a better side, or do you think we'll try and do the same sort of thing again, albeit maybe a bit more cautiously?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously, like you say, I think Farke will I think Farke's going to be a lot different this year compared to last, where he had his way of playing, and if that didn't work, he would try and it was his way or try and do his way better. He didn't like to change, but I think we've already seen he's already willing to change his way of thinking. And going with the 3 in midfield was something which he didn't really do at all last year. So I think he's already trying to look at other ways to beat teams. And we really went at Everton more than I thought we were going to go into. So with Arsenal being, I feel like we'll try and be a bit more defensive. Maybe switch back to a 4-2-3-1. Put Aronson in the 10. Because Aronson's going to work hard in that midfield as well. So, and we're going to need that on Saturday. So I do think that there's potential for him to change the system. I think he might do, especially if he goes with Gruev as well. If he goes with Gruev, I think that would probably imagine that he'll be playing as a double pivot with maybe a Tanaka and then a stack further forward, or vice versa. But you just don't know with Farke. He'll keep you guessing till 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Karl, would you try the 3-5-2 you mentioned earlier, or would you stick with something else?
I'd probably try it for the sake that you're away at Arsenal, and you'd like to be tight. Now, there's no reason that you can't evolve the formation throughout the game, depending on how it's panning out. After get through to half time, potentially 0-0. Second half, you've got a good feel for the game. Same kind of thing that Everton did. They came back out and they started getting on the ball more, pushing the fullbacks on a little bit. If we can get that bit of confidence from the first half, there's nothing in my mind to say that we couldn't change it up and go back to our 4-3-3 or something like that, and potentially look to try and sneak one. I think with the players we have, I think we should look to be cautious initially, get a feel for the game, because we can be defensive quite well, and see how it goes from there. Someone said in the comments there that Farke gave us an early sub there on Monday night. I was Daryl Harris here in the comments. He was like, got an early sub from Farke as well.
That's when it's a special night.
Well, that's it, yeah. So if we can get a feel for the game, and I'm sure Farke can make an intelligent decision and alter the formation and potentially players depending on how it's going, there's absolutely no reason why we can't go down there and at least come away with a point.
Absolutely. Joe Bedford says, I think Piroe is out to prove himself this season. He even looks half awake this season. Very harsh, Joe. Yeah. She did tell us that the ref is Jared Gillett. I don't know
I've not heard
if that means anything to you guys, but I don't have a clue who he is. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Okay. So Arsenal fans don't like it. All right, cool. That'll do for me then. I'll recognise him.
The other thing I wanted to touch on.
I don't know any of the names now. Don't know any of the names.
Just one thing before we go, right? I'm contemplating asking Paddy Power or Sky Bet for odds on the first time Arteta complains about the Puma football, because he did it in the Carabao Cup last season. So I am genuinely contemplating asking what odds I can get on that and how many games into the season before he complains about it. It might be worth a punt. You probably get the same odds you got on Leicester winning the league that time. So, might be worth it.
I think so.
Don't flood the bleeding betting sites. That's my bet, yeah.
It'll be about 2-1 or evens by the time.
Everyone's writing it down now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, shite. He said it. No, let's get it on.
So we don't have to give predictions on the pod anymore because Gilly's killed that off and changed his system. That's a mystery. But do you think we'll get anything out of it, Karl? Win, lose, or draw for you?
Realistically, I think draw. Optimistically, I think a 2-1 win.
Fucking hell. What about you, Dylan? What are you saying? Are you as optimistic as Karl?
God, you know what? If we come away with a 2-1 win, I'd be buzzing. I'd be over the moon. I do think that
Europe.
Wow.
Oh God. Oh God.
Oh,
Don't start. My
not
anxiety.
yet, not
Can't
yet.
take it.
Wait till Christmas for that.
Oh
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, nah,
God.
I do think. I think we can get a draw. I don't see why we can't go get a draw. I think we can show ourselves defensively, and you know we've done really well defensively in the last game. So you know I think we're a better team defensively. I think now than when we were in the Premier League before, and even last year I think we look a lot better, a lot more solid at the back.
Yeah. Arthur Busby says 4-4. Jesus.
I know that.
Jesus.
That'd be ace. That'd be ace.
You on the sauce too, Arthur? Nice one, man.
Jammy's enjoyed the stream. Cheers, Jammy.
Thank you.
Joseph should be happy with a 0-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just going to be a case of trying to frustrate them for a while so their fans get pissed off and then see if we can cause some chaos. But, you know, we might go and end up 3-0 down within 8 minutes. You just never know, do you?
That's it. You never know.
There you go.
Right.
One
Can't
Piroe.
see that happening
I'd
either.
love that.
Have you got anything
Yeah.
else you want to tell us, Karl, before we wrap up and let Dylan go back to his normal life away from this chaos?
No, not particularly.
No?
Anyone
words of
going to the
wisdom?
game on Saturday? Well, I was just about to. There's a delay, remember? I, anyone going to the game, have a good one on Saturday, and make sure you're good and loud, because unless the screens at either corner of the Emirates tell the Emirates crowd to sing, they don't sing. So make it
Jesus
loud.
Christ.
Just make sure that the Premier League remembers that they need supporters like our vile animals in their grounds, and
Absolutely.
just be loud. That's it. Enjoy yourselves
Should
and be
make
loud.
they should make an advert for Arsenal, shouldn't they? Where it's like Arsenal FC with a live studio audience with bloody signs.
It may
Laugh,
as well be.
laugh, sing.
Yeah, man.
So
Honestly,
Easy comes out with
it's
a clipboard thing before game starts.
yeah. It's like having a drum or a singing section. That's what it is. Except you can't see it on the TV.
Should be banned. Fire them drums into space with the drummers.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a good little pod this week. I've enjoyed it, lads. Cheers for joining us, Dylan.
worries.
Welcome to come back anytime if you can.
Yeah,
cope with
thanks,
it.
Dylan, man.
No worries. Thank you for having me on.
You certainly
No
sounded
problem,
more
yeah.
knowledgeable than me and Karl. That's not hard, but it's always appreciated.
I don't know about that.
It's a bit of crack.
Cheers to
innit?
everyone who's watching and got involved in comments. Hopefully, Karl will fix his time delay by next time, but I won't hold my breath. And we'll see you again at some point next week, no doubt. Adios. I'll wait for Karl to
Bye-bye.
wave. There we go.